when you meet the man of your dreams.
I don't want to lose you now that I've found you.
Sometimes you're just too blind.
It's how he is. It's how I want to be.
To see you're falling into a nightmare.
I'd say you were trying to get me drunk.
My house, go away! If I could love anyone, I wouldn't waste it.
Gillian Tailforth, Amanda Root and David Morrissey in the psychological thriller Big Cat, Sunday at 9:20 on BBC1.
Over the centuries, my family has relied on generations of cooks. I decided to investigate the tradition of country house cooking, which would lead me to dishes such as stone cream, crab tart, oysters and oatmeal, and Cliveden savouries. It all started with my great-great-grandfather, who prided himself on his gargantuan appetite. He's described as having a thin, squeaky voice. And once he stopped at a pub, so they all started laughing at him, and he said,
"How fresh the lot of you! Loser pays for drinks all round!"
A taste of tradition from Britain's grandest kitchens. Upper Crust begins next Tuesday at 8 on BBC2.
In a few moments, BBC News 24. First, a quick look at Wednesday's weather on BBC1 with Peter Cockcroft.
Hello again. Some bursts of heavy rain will continue to fall on northern and eastern parts of Scotland overnight, with the risk of some local flooding there. A little bit further south there'll be one or two showers, particularly across Northern Ireland, but where there are some clearer slots there could be some mist and fog around by morning, but probably not extensive across southern England, with some cloud moving in there overnight. Lowest temperatures about 8 or 9 Celsius. Now, the reason for that cloud in southern England, this little waving weather front that's going to be around through the day, giving a few spots of rain in the southernmost counties of England. Now, the mist and fog will clear out of the way, and we might find one or two heavy bursts just running along that southern coast, but there will be some sunshine elsewhere. One or two sharp showers perhaps developing out through central parts of Scotland, and still some wet and windy weather in the Northern Isles. So temperatures in Shetland probably only 14, whereas further south we could see a 21 or even a 22. Looking a wee bit further ahead, this weather front will weaken. This one intensifies. It comes in off the Atlantic, so that means there's more wet and windy weather on the way. One batch of rain fizzling out in the northeast, the next batch of wet and windy weather spilling up from the southwest during Thursday and on Friday. That's the forecast.
Most people don't realise that overwatering is actually bad for plants. Lawns aren't really dying when they turn brown. They'll soon recover when the weather changes. Water's a precious resource that we all depend on. You don't need to water your garden morning, noon and night.
Tomorrow on the National Lottery Draw, Bob Monkhouse.
Thank you very much, that's a wonderful welcome, thank you.
Is joined by All Saints. There's also news from the Wellbeing Charity. And of course, there's the live National Lottery Draw itself. All Saints at the National Lottery Draw, tomorrow at 8:40 on BBC1.
These people are wanted to give evidence in the case Neighbour versus Neighbour.
This is the stuff that walls are made out of.
We've lost our right to sleep, we've lost our right to fresh air.
She seems to have a complaint about virtually everything.
I think it should be demolished.
It's a lot of jealousy.
Is it a sheer miserable neighbour?
I haven't had a solid night's sleep for 18 months.
The evidence will be heard. The Neighbours are still at war, September the 14th on BBC1.
I can watch anything, from behind the scenes at BBC Drama to Glastonbury on the BBC's new channel, BBC Choice.
I can keep up with BBC News 24 hours a day.
I can surf between the TV and the internet. But I've got to keep up with the gossip, haven't I?
And one day, everything will be in widescreen, not just the movies.
I'll be able to see radio.
I'll even be able to interact with my television. Could you pass the salt, please, darling?
It's all jolly exciting, isn't it?
BBC Digital. The adventure starts here. Call us for more information.
This is BBC One with your link to world and national events through the night hours. BBC News 24.
Hello, a very good morning to you. You're watching BBC News 24. A warm welcome to viewers joining us now on BBC One. I'm Jane Hill. These are today's latest stories at 1:30. Sinn Féin, the political wing of the IRA, has gone further than ever before in renouncing violence for political ends. It didn't utter the words its opponents most wanted to hear: the war is over. But on both sides of the Irish border and in Downing Street, the feeling is growing that it may have done enough to break the deadlock in advancing the Good Friday peace agreement. A statement from the Sinn Féin leader, Gerry Adams, said Sinn Féin believes the violence we've seen must be, for all of us, a thing of the past, over, done with and gone. Meanwhile, the government's terrorism bill goes before the Commons later today in a special session. The legislation would make it easier for the courts to convict members of terrorist groups which oppose the Good Friday Agreement. The Northern Ireland Secretary Mo Mowlam has been speaking to the BBC to give her reaction to the statement from Sinn Féin.
I think it is significant for Sinn Féin to say that they now think violence is a thing of the past. It's an important statement for them to make, and I hope that as a result we all redouble our efforts to make sure that every dimension of the Good Friday Agreement is implemented.
There was a very rapid response from Downing Street to the statement. Does that mean the government was expecting something?
I think that everybody's been playing their part trying to push this forward, party leaders, governments, and we do now want to see progress, and I think this is a positive step in that direction.
Does the government see the statement as proof that Sinn Féin really is committed exclusively to peaceful means?
Well, I think if you look at the statement, Sinn Féin believes that violence we have seen must be for all of us now a thing of the past. That to me means exactly what you've just said. Only time will tell whether the deeds match the words.
On that, do you expect decommissioning to flow from this statement?
I think what I want to see is this statement bed down, see the responses, and then let's hope that we have momentum on all dimensions of the Good Friday Agreement, including decommissioning.
Do you think the conditions are now right for Ulster Unionists, Sinn Féin and the DUP to all sit in the same cabinet room?
I think that has to come. I hope it comes sooner rather than later, but it is up to the parties now to respond to this statement and see what can be built in the hours and days ahead.
The suspicion is that there's something going along behind the scenes, maybe quite a lot, and we won't see exactly what it is till Bill Clinton arrives here. Is that too much of an optimistic outlook?
I think that's Machiavellian gossip on the part of the press. Everybody is doing all they can to move it forward. President Clinton's visit has been planned for some time. He has his programme, Hillary Clinton has hers, and the parties, who are the ones that count, I hope will continue to do everything they can to implement all aspects of the Good Friday Agreement.
But you're all putting pressure on Ulster Unionists and Sinn Féin to work together.
I'm putting pressure on everybody to make progress, because what we need after the tragedy of Omagh is to show those men of violence that there is an alternative, one that the people in Northern Ireland want to see.
Mo Mowlam. Well, Northern Ireland's Deputy First Minister Seamus Mallon also gave his reaction.
Well, I have issued a statement. I said I welcome this statement. I think it's a significant statement indeed. And I hope that this statement by Sinn Féin can be built upon, and built upon in such a way that we get to the stage very, very quickly indeed, where we can have dialogue and the type of development in the political process that we all need.
Seamus Mallon. A damning report on the Dounreay nuclear plant in Scotland has highlighted what it calls chronic safety problems. It says no more reprocessing of radioactive material should take place until health and safety experts are convinced that it can be done safely. The installation is being wound down, but the report says management and technical expertise are too weak to handle the decommissioning. The body of a boy found locked inside a community centre in Northampton has been formally identified as that of 9-year-old Ryan Hunter. Ryan disappeared from his home on the Spencer estate in the town on Monday. Northamptonshire police say it's too early to say if there are suspicious circumstances. The results of a post-mortem examination are expected later today. The British consul in the Spanish city of Seville has been to visit Kenneth Noye in the prison where he's being held. Britain is seeking Noye's extradition in reaction to the road rage killing of Stephen Cameron in May 1996. Kenneth Noye was arrested on Friday in a town on the coast of southwest Spain.
The British consul in Seville, Carlos Formby, spent more than an hour with Kenneth Noye in the high-security Puerto de Santa Maria prison near Cádiz. He brought him some reading material, including magazines, some thrillers and a Spanish-English dictionary. Afterwards, he said Noye had no complaints about the way he was being treated, but that any further information would have to come from his lawyers in London.
I was with him more or less for nearly, as you can see, 40 minutes. And that I must say that he's a very nice person, talking to him. And but apart from that, he didn't want me to make any comments to you or to anybody.
It's here that Kenneth Noye is being held for the time being. It's likely that he'll be moved to Madrid within the next week or two, where the full extradition hearing will be held. He's likely to fight that, and it could be some weeks or months.
Don't point it at me! There's enough Cadbury's chocolate in there to fill a very large hole in you, sonny! Sarge, I got fudge on my tune.